Hello everyone, I believe that all of you are great today. I want to share something with you about acting now and the very big importance of that. Earlier today, I posted about how wonderful it is for me that within the period of my career, so far as an imagination coach, I've had about 200, actually more than 200 students, paid students, not even the free ones now, not the ones who maybe learn from my posts online and just follow my videos online, but the ones that are paid that come straight up and say, we want to learn one or two things from you. All right, and I want to share something with you today about acting now and the very big importance of that. Now, in this lecture called The Second Vision, Neville says this that it says, when you react, you actually penetrate. So, when something is going on around you and you react to it, whether because you're trying to show compassion, you're trying to show sympathy, or whatever else, but the moment you react, you literally penetrate it. You become one with that thing. You're making that thing a part of your own experience. You believe in it. Now, you don't want to react because actually reactions are done or based on the aspect of mind called Satan or the doubter. I could only react to something because I think that thing is so fixed and I have to try to do something physically to change it or to alter it. What if I come with a different approach? The approach of acting. Now it says, but when I change something within myself, I am acting, and God only acts in existing beings and men. So do not argue, but decide what you want in place of what you have or see. And I can tolerate anything in this world, knowing fully well that I have the power to change it, but I have to decide what I want and then act in my imagination as if that thing were so, as if that thing were true and that thing were real. That's all you are asked to do. That's all we called upon to do. And the world, the vast world, actually awaits us doing this or nothing changes. And I mean that seriously. Nothing changes. In this same lecture, I'm reading from The Second Vision by Neville. This was a lecture he gave after he had the second of the four mystical experiences that he talked about so much in the promise. So he gave this lecture, and it was trying to talk about the second vision, which was the second experience he had um, of David. But while he was talking about this, he really focused a lot about the law. And how you can use this thing we call the law to create your life. And somewhere here it said, the passage of time does nothing. I'm just going to show you right now. I'm just going to really talk for you right now. It says, um, by living completely by faith, that's how you do it. If you do not live by faith, you delay the coming of the child. It comes out of the mind of man. When that mind is prepared for the coming, I must learn. We all must learn to actually live in the reality of the invisible state. Do you know that's one of the most difficult things for people to do in this world? We so much believe in what we see that we don't really appreciate the power and the depth of things we don't see. Yet, the things we don't see are so much more than the things we see. Like Haverkar actually said, and now he's my favorite author when it comes to money and all of those things. Haverkar is a great guy, really. And he said somewhere in one of his books, he said, if you don't believe that what you don't see actually controls what you see, then you might as well just go onto your socket and put your hand into the plug. Because after all, The electricity you don't see wouldn't shock you. Well, funny analogy, but the point is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. It's that what we don't see controls a lot of the things we see in this world, much more than we can physically or rationally comprehend. So you don't need to try to understand it, analyze it, or try to comprehend it. The only thing that matters is that you're living by it. That's the only thing that matters. We have invisible state. No one can see it. See, I was, at a point in time in my life, I was a man who was underpaid, overworking, putting in everything possible. Trying to be everything ethical, everything brilliant, everything strategic, yet nothing was working out for me. I had worked in about 4 different jobs in my life. I had tried to learn a couple of skills. I tried a couple of businesses. If you put all of it together, I would maybe have more than 10 to 12 attempts in my life to try to be successful at something. It's my dream from childhood to be. But not until the time when I began to learn to live by invisible states before things really began to change. And I must tell you, the things that changed for me, I had tried them long before. I tried to teach people long before. I tried to write books long before. I tried to be an author. I tried to be a writer. I tried to teach people. I never stopped. I always loved to teach people things that I know to be the way, to be the truth, to be how things are meant to be the solution. I'd always tried to inspire people all my life. But one thing changed between how I used to do it before and I began to do it. I stopped reacting. And I started acting. I started living by faith. Neville says here, and I'm reading it again, I'm repeating it here for us. It says, by living completely by faith, if you do not live by faith, you delay the coming of the child, or you can say the coming of the ideal that you want to embody. You delay it if you do not live completely by faith. For it does not come by the passage of time. I must tell you that is so true. I've learned from my personal experience in life that is very true. It doesn't come by passage of time. Sometimes I would go, well, maybe next month things would get better. Maybe next week things would get better. Maybe next year things would get better. And I did that from the age when I finished from high school, when I began to work on a job or another, up until the age when I finished from the university. And that was about 7 years apart, really. Because I had maybe 2 years at home before I gained admission to the university. So, 7 years apart or so. And I continued to have that mentality of, well, maybe the passage of time will resolve it. Then one day, something sparked to me. I went, why don't I start working with invisible states and stop reacting to the world and start acting? Start asking myself, what do I want? Decide it, and then assume I'm experiencing that. And in my imagination, simply hold on to it. I don't care what my physical world says. And I did this at a time when I didn't have dinner. When I didn't know what I was going to eat the following morning when I woke up. When I was not living. I didn't even have an apartment of my own. I was squatting with friends or going back to my parents' house. That was my triangulation. That was my journey, my movement around. But I began to hold on to that vision. As if I was satisfied with meals. Or as if I was completely abundant. I had money, could buy anything I wanted. As if I was shopping in the places I wanted to shop. When I didn't have money to buy the list of products there. Began to imagine it, and I held on to that vision night after night. Revised my experiences of the past and stopped reacting to the bank balance, to the lack of business activity, to the me trying so hard on this business, that business, those businesses, and nothing was working, to me trying to message a lot of people and no one was responding. I stopped reacting to all of those. Suspended reaction. I'm asking you to do that. Suspend reactions. someone is doing something like this, or something is going that way, or you're trying to argue this out, or you're trying to prove that that's the one thing that works, or maybe some guru tells you if you do it, this strategy, that strategy, those strategies, you should get this result. Did you know I dropped all of those things in my life and just began to assume that everything I wanted was right there for me. Right when I wake up, I'm meeting it. If I want to fall asleep, I'm assuming it's there. And it began to really change. People began to come into my life out of nowhere. I didn't know them before. 2 years ago, I didn't know these people before. But one after the other, they came up and they showed up and they said, "You're my teacher. You're the one that will teach me. You're the one that will teach me how to use the law, how to manifest, how to become the being that I really am, how to assume that identity from the depth of my consciousness." And the funniest part of this was that I didn't have the skills, the trainings. I didn't even think I was ready. But it came suddenly to me. I was compelled to rise up to the occasion. And everything worked out perfectly. And it began to show forth with results. They would say, Adelere, ever since I've been learning about this and coming across this and going over all of these lessons, now that I come across you and how you teach it, I understood it in ways I never comprehended. Or my life changed this way. People went out of depression. People changed careers successfully. People became more. Their family life changed. Their sons got better. Their relatives became more abundant. And so on and so forth really all happened. People got married. They got married to the love of their lives. And so many things happened in just a short period of time. Why? Because I stopped reacting and started acting. I'm inviting you to do that. It's so simple. Start acting. God only acts and is in existing beings or men. Those are the words of William Blake. And I never put it this way in this lecture. It says God is acting in existing beings and men. You don't have to react to the newspaper which says, "Oh, there's a recession coming. Everyone should fold up and this." Hold on. Ask yourself a simple question. What do I want? Let your mind be unrestricted, unbounded. Did you know the day I picked up my pen and I said I would like to change my life this year? That was about December 2021. And I picked up my pen and I said I'd like to change my life in the incoming year. If all I do is to make 10,000 in just a week, and 4 weeks that's 40,000, I'll be good. I'll be okay. And at least I'll be a little better off than I was. So I decided that was what I was going to do. I wrote that down in my notes, in a note I was having then, and I decided this is how things should play out. These are the things I would do. These are the things I would try to put in place. And I did that last year, 2 years ago, December 2021. And I tried to put all of those things into practice. January came. Well, I didn't make that money in January, but I made something fantastic. I had money to do lots of things I wanted to do in January 2022. But it wasn't the plans I had written in December. Just happened. Then February, I was trying to enforce those plans, and boom, and everything just went down. In March, then I began to ask myself, this works. I know it works. I've had results with it. I've changed people's lives with it. I've been revising right from August 2021. I could, between August and this March, which I'm talking about now, I've had more than 30 success stories of revising for people, revising for myself, and things happening out of nowhere. So I knew it worked. Then I began to ask myself, so what could I do about these my own goals, my own objectives, to have more money, to live a better life, to be able to be more responsible to my family, and to have all my obligations attended to. Then I went, maybe I drop the things I think I have to do and just start focusing on the things that I really want to be. So April came, and in the midst, I must tell you, in the midst of serious heartaches, a lot of disappointments on left and right, and not having a clear idea of what could happen in the future. I don't even know if I could wake up the following morning. But I decided I would always imagine that I was being the person I'd like to be. And I'll make that my action and stop reacting to my circumstances. I made that decision. And I'm so grateful and glad I did make that decision in April 2022. Because this was what happened. When I made that decision, not knowing where it was going to come from, just decided. And I wrote down and in a conversation. And I began to practice that inner speech for a couple of days. And I said, in the inner speech it was, isn't it wonderful that I am the inspirational and effortless trillionaire teacher, and here my happy and loving family. That was my inner speech. That was the first inner speech I created. And I began to practice it. Now, the first student I had, she said a lot of times, one of the first students rather, because I had about 3 students first, and one of them, she said, I always thought you were a married man when we started our sessions together. I always thought you were a married man. I always thought you were a family man with children all around you. Now, I wasn't trying to fake anything. I didn't even post anything about family online. Just assumed that was it. That was a reflection of what I was doing in my mind. In my mind, I was assuming, isn't it wonderful that I am the inspirational and effortless trillionaire teacher, and here, my loving and happy family. And she caught that. She went on with that. She said, I always thought you were already a family man when we first started learning. And then more students came and they said, you inspire us. You're inspirational. You're showing us how it could be done. You're showing us it could be done. Want to learn it from you. Then they came into my sessions and they said, oh, it's effortless. It's effortless. It's simpler than we even thought it should be. It's so simple. Now, take note. I don't simplify it. I don't trade it away. Trade away the real essence of the whole thing in the name of simplification. No. But I let you know it is really simple. Pretty simple, the whole thing you have to do. They said, you did it, you make it so simple. We never thought it could be so simple in our lives. And we began to practice, and one after the other, results. People living depression, people gaining control of their life, of their affairs, of their family, of their relationships, people enjoying their marriage of decades, actually decades, and they begin to enjoy it. Their husbands begin to lavish them, treat them like queens. People begin to change their careers, fortunately with fortunes arising, having 100% increase in salary suddenly, getting into prestigious roles, being able to travel anywhere in the world on the job. People gaining 2-3 jobs at the same time. 2 jobs, well, I know that for sure. 2 jobs at the same time. 2 amazing, not lowly jobs, high jobs. Jobs that rank as, like the vice president. You could imagine what that is like. The vice president of a multinational corporation that works in 2-3 continents. And then they're the vice president of this organization. And you have a second job with that. Together, simultaneously. People beginning to change the lives of their sons, of their daughters. It all happened. But all from a vision I held in my mind. And they all came in and fitted it and just bloomed. They simply branches in my own vine, just showing forth to me the kind of tree I am being. I'm telling you, the passage of time does nothing. Did you know how many years actually passed that I was looking for the secret of life, the way to create my future, to predict my future, to transform my life? So many years. Now I was hoping maybe it would be next month when the change would happen. Then one day I broke that. And I went, I won't wait for next month anymore. I would assume it now. I would stay in it now. And I would keep believing it is done now. And I did that. Just that. Then what happened? Oh, people changed their lives. Things shifted. My income skyrocketed. My career. This is, say, May, June, July, August, September. That's 17 months now. Within 17 months, over 200 paid students as an imagination coach. 200 students I didn't have when I didn't have this imagining going on. Now just imagine them. Now, mind you, I'd been a coach all the while. I've been trying to teach people transformation, changing your life, law of attraction, and so on and so forth. But 200 students, when I had no single efforts to try to get there. If you would remain faithful to an idea, I don't care what that idea is. What I just know is that if you are seeing it, you would have it. That's all I know, for sure. Now, I don't know how it is going to happen, so don't ask me, well, Adelere, I've been imagining it, how is it going to happen? I don't know. But I've come across so many stories, not only in my own life, but in the lives of so many people around, that I so well know, no one has to know how. I know that for sure. You don't have to know how. You don't even have to care about how. You don't have to try to figure it out. You don't have to try to bend your desires to how you think it is possible. Just ask yourself a simple question. What do I want? What satisfies me right now? Right here, right now. If it's $1 million, then it's $1 million. If it's $1 billion, then it's $1 billion. If it is an upgrade in your lifestyle, then it's an upgrade in your lifestyle. If it is a boost in your career, then it's a boost in your career. If it's you touring the world, then it's you touring the world. Do not ask anybody's permission. Don't argue with the person whether it's possible or not. What did you read right here? What did you read in this lesson? It says, so do not argue, but decide what you want in place of what you have or what you see. Don't argue. Don't try to buy someone to support you or think with you or accept your own ideals that it's possible. You don't need any other person's permission. Now, maybe you're a couple. Maybe you're a father or mother. Maybe you're a brother or a sister. You don't need anybody in your family, anybody in your marriage to agree with you that it's possible. Because they can't see the vision that you see in your mind. You're the only person who sees it. However, you to assume that it is true, that it is done already. In your imagination, you would bring the same people up and see them all telling you that you embody the perfect representation of the ideal you desire. If you'd like to be a millionaire, let your wife or your husband, let your parents or your children, let your friends or your siblings, let them tell you, you are the most remarkable, effortless millionaire we ever know. Just in your imagination, you can do that. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. I never have to say to a person, hey, you're my neighbor. I'm going to argue with you in my mind. Right? No. Or, hey, you're my wife. I'm going to tell you I love you in my mind. I never have to do that. No one ever has to know what I'm doing. I could be saying the most peaceful things in the world to my neighbors. I could be saying the most loving things in the world to my wife. She never has to know. They never have to know. But I could do it. You can do it. You act. But act when? Now. Don't think maybe there is somebody on the outside and is going to pity me after years of suffering. This is something I want to share with coaches when on the Saturday masterclass coming up about awakening maybe I could just chip in a little bit of it right now for you and let you see a sense of this. If you think, oh, maybe after years of my suffering, God is going to take some pity on me and uh, help me out of this situation. I must tell you that you'd find that being disappointed. On the contrary, there are so many people in the world awakening every second of time. No, not in this world, but in the world. There are many worlds. There are worlds within worlds. I had visited one of those worlds before. The Bible talks about. I knew it was real. I saw people there. I met people. I interacted with people. They had a culture, a tradition. Yet it's another world. It's not this world. And I knew I was not in this world. And I knew I had to find my way back. I did this when I was still back at my parents' house. And I knew the experience I had. Right? So, there are people in that world I went to who are waking up, who are rising to the occasion of being God, who are controlling their lives, the destiny there. There are people in this world who are doing it. There are people in another world who are doing it. So, the only question that matters is, are you ready? Is this the time you're going to do it? Or do you still want to live by some other codes, some other attempts, some other beliefs, and do some try and errors, some try and failures, and go back and forth for some other time? I feel like I don't have that much time to waste or to, go back and forth anymore. Just gonna head on straight forward to the vision I have for my life from the beginning, awakening as God. And there is one of the certain ways to do that is to start acting like it now. Maybe you don't really believe that you are God, or that the inner man in you is the creator of the whole universe, or that your imagination is God. You don't have to believe all of that before you start practicing it. You can practice it now. So begin. Start acting. Start acting now. God only acts and is in existing beings or men. That's you, that's me. I am God. I don't need your permission. I've done that a lot of times. Never ask the person's permission. I'll just imagine something for them. Someone came up recently and they went, oh, they met a man. And the man said it was so intentional, extremely intentional. And he said he wanted this, that, and the other done. And he simply showed them to his family and was ready to get him out, go all out with them, get him into his life, get her into his life, and seal the whole thing called relationship into a permanent one. When she shared it, I wasn't surprised a bit, because just a couple of days before, I had actually revised my experience with her. I'd gone, she shared that success story with me. I knew it. I imagined it. And she did. I never asked her permission. I didn't even tell her. When she was telling it, I didn't say, oh, that was what I imagined. No. I didn't. If she probably finds this life and she's able to connect that she's the one, fine. If she's not, still fine by me. It doesn't matter. What really matters at the end of the day is that I pruned that aspect of my being. I turned it into a lovely vine, and it brought forth fruits that I imagined. You can change your world. Start acting now. And one more thing before I go is this. You probably have heard of Coach Isa Mesa. I believe that you would have. She's a fantastic coach. Very remarkable with a grasp of the law, and emphasis is on feeling is the secret. Now, I know you'd agree with me that is really true. Feeling is the secret. She's having a masterclass coming up in a couple of days, and I would be inviting you to register first. She's bringing everything she has to offer to show you how to channel that feeling as the secret of success. There's nothing in this world that didn't start with the feeling. Sometimes I would go out, someone would come to me and say, "Tell me, what can I do to change my life?" Now, ask them a simple question. Say, "Tell me something you know in this world that is now a fact, but it wasn't first imagined." Oh, we now have it. Like I have this. But now I didn't first imagine this cloth. Is it possible? No, it's not. I first imagined having new wares before I got new wares. Someone first imagined making this pattern of cloth. Maybe they were imagining it for profit, or for profit's sake, but they did imagine it before they created it. Someone imagined this pattern before they created this pattern. Someone else is imagining the one day they would have this particular cloth given to them. Someone else is. One day it would leave me. One day it would go somewhere else. It would go something else. It would become something else. One day. Because someone else is imagining that to be a fact. Everything in this world. And the secret behind the whole imagining is the feeling. Isa is having a masterclass. Come up, I'm asking you to join. See, I'm not asking you for myself, I'm asking you for yourself. Because I did something in my life I'm so grateful for. I simply started to live entirely by imagination. I didn't know any other person was as hardworking as I was. Could tell you I was sleeping in the office, waking up in the office. I would take assignments was serving a number of officers above me. I was the errand boy and the office assistant. So I was serving about 26 people. And this one could call me and say, "Hey, come here, come and do this." And that one could call me and say, "Hey, come here, come and do that." And I had such an impeccable ability to deliver such a skill that's required on the job that they always wanted me to be the one to do it. Sometimes they would even say, "Well, he has exams." Some would say, "He has exams. Try not to call him." Or sometimes they would come to me and say, "Don't answer when they call you for this time until you're done with your exams." That was how good I was at the job I did. And I had to sleep there, wake up there, carry on the job. That wasn't changing things. I was incredibly hardworking. Then I went on from there to using the effortless way. And that, by the way, is my theme for the rest of this year. October, November, December, I'm focusing on the effortless way. And every student who is joining me in any of the courses I have, mastery courses, or the group coaching, or anything, it's all in the effortless way. It's just creating in the effortless way. Drop the action, drop the effort, not the action principle, drop the effort once and start acting your imagination in your mind from the feeling of the ritual field. And the prelude to the effortless way is to learn that feeling is the secret. Isa is coming up with that. You can join her on the session. I'm inviting you to now, telling you to be one of your most impeccable, one of your most rewarding investments in this world. That would be it. Let me close it with this reading from the second vision, the lecture we started with. And this is what Neville says. It says, "If you would today, not any other day," some people want to wait until tomorrow. I am not here talking to you. When you're ready, you would come across this message again. It would make sense to you then. Then you would go, "Oh, but he said it the other time. Why didn't I pay attention?" Well, that's if you want to change your life tomorrow. But for those of you that are listening right now and you want to change your life today, and you don't have that luxury of time to wait until tomorrow. You don't have you don't have the luxury to tell people be patient until tomorrow. To tell yourself, maybe I could still suffer and tolerate the suffering until tomorrow. You just want to change a true transformation in your life. This is what Neville is saying. It says, if you would today transform your life, all that you need are sound and sight and touch and taste. These are the four rivers, the flood of Eden. These are the senses, and you water your Eden by this. And if you're faithful to your image, it will flow into what you call reality. But what you call reality is only the shadow, only the idea of the real. The real is always the mind. And this physical world, this is a shadow. I know it so well because long before I had this clothes, I assumed that. I did assume that I had such clothes. And then boom, it showed up in my world. It's a shadow of the reality within. But those are the four sensations. What you see, what you hear, right? What you do, what you touch, that is the same as doing. What you touch. And that thing which you taste. You can bring all four together. For example, through a big party in your imagination. A big party celebrating you. How successful you are that you have a big party. Or that you have a private party of remarkably important and honorable people. Then you imagine that. You put all of your sensation on that in your imagination. You put all of your sensation on that in your imagination. That's how you do it. Alright, I think that's the cue. That time is up. So, talk to you all later. Bye bye.